So last week I wrote down a couple ideas, and it was based on what I was seeing in the market. So if you're new to the channel, I'm a mortgage lender licensed in 48 states. My team's one of the top purchase teams in America. We're always happy to get on the phone, talk about planning to buy a house, how to get pre-approved, all that fun stuff. But we also look at loan estimates. So if you're like, am I getting a good deal? Am I getting screwed? How do I know, right? Because as a consumer, it's really hard to tell, right? You go online and you see all these rates, but then if you read the fine print, it's always like, well, call to get the real rates. And you call and you're like, okay, that sounds good, but then they send you something and it doesn't match. And you're like, well, wait, is this normal? Is it not normal? It can be really challenging. So we're always happy to look at your loan estimate. And look, it's good to have an expert look at it for two reasons. Number one, if you're getting a good deal, I will be the first person to say, you're getting a good deal, reward this lender with your business. And that's because I think we need more lenders that are doing good by their clients. If you're getting a bad deal, I'm gonna be saying, oh my gosh, we can save you so much money, you are getting hosed. Or I'll say, hey, can you ask these questions? Because there's something that's a variable, okay? Very important. So one of the things that I noticed last week, and I'll just say this quickly so that I have a client who I love to death, and he watches me on TV and he's like, Jen, give him your phone number. 707-478-0637. You can text, you can call, but you can text me loan summaries. I can review all of them except for Rhode Island and Utah, and I'll give you the real deal. And here's the trend, okay? And this trend's been happening forever. And if you've ever been on the phone with me in this situation, you've probably heard me ask this question. If I'm looking at a loan summary and it's a builder, I'm usually saying, is this the builder's lender? Yes, of course it is. Of course it is. If I'm looking at a quote and I'm like, it's brutal, I'm like, let me guess. Did the real estate agent refer you to this lender? Yes, they did. It's my realtor's lender. It's the builder's lender. The note that I wrote down was possession. Who owns them? Not you. And that's what you need to think about. So if you're like, oh, I'm gonna work with the builder's lender, you need to understand that they don't work for you, that they work for the builder. And what we see a lot of is fake builder credits. So the builder will own a lending company. They'll say, oh, if you buy this house, we're gonna give you $20,000 towards closing costs. And you're like, wow, that's so much money, that will cover all my closing. But you have to work with our lender. So the builder's lender, I compare them to indoor cats because they don't have to actually go out and get their food. Not many are responsive. Look, there's a rare builder's lender who's really good, but generally a good lender is not gonna work for one builder. True. Anyways, so we'll get the loan summary and we're like, your rate is higher than it should be and you're paying a fortune for the rate. Well, guess what? They're eating up that credit, right? They're giving you a higher rate. They're giving you higher fees. They're offsetting that credit the builder's giving you because they don't work for you. They work for the builder, and the builder's gonna make more money if they do it that way, okay? The realtor's lender's a different story. Real estate agents are not supposed to get kickbacks from lenders. There are some that do, and it's illegal, and it's disgusting. If you ever hear a real estate agent bragging about how their lender pays them $1,000 or $2,000 a deal, they're scum because they're taking that out of their client's pocket. But that's not what we see most of. What we see is, oh, it's my realtor's lender. People assume that their real estate agents are making sure that the lenders they recommend offer good rates and fees. They're not checking, guys. Maybe a few are. There's a couple agents maybe that are checking to make sure that whoever they recommend actually has competitive rates and fees. But what a real estate agent cares about most, if it's a good agent, is they care about your deal closing. They care about you being happy, But unfortunately, there's a lot of agents that can be bought. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean the kickbacks we talked about. I mean, you'll see them go out for salmon fishing trips with my favorite lender, golf outing with Bob. Guys, how do you think all this is getting paid for? It's getting paid for because they're going to offer you higher rates and fees. There's a lender in Chicago who is known to basically, pay realtors a ton of money towards their marketing, and in exchange, the real estate agent pushes you, the buyer, to that lender. Who's benefiting from that? Not you, right? So possession is important. And I think if you're thinking about the builder's lender, look, they don't work for you. They work for the builder. They're always going to do what's in the builder's best interest. So if it's in the builder's best interest that maybe the house doesn't appraise out and you sign some contract where you'll pay for it no matter what, and they know you have a 401k, guess what? They're going to be telling the builder, oh, they'll liquidate their 401k. If you're working with a lender that works for you, do you think they're going to be telling the builder that information? No, not unless there's some document that says that we have to, but no, we work for you. We don't work for the builder, right? If they're giving you a credit, would we jack up your rate and fee so that ultimately the credit doesn't offset them more? No, they don't own us, so there's no benefit, but also no, we work for you. In regards to the realtor's lender, look, sometimes they're great lenders and maybe they're just not competitive on rates. Is the real estate agent checking that? No, okay? But could you be being pushed to a lender because they're getting some sort of kickback or perk from the lender? Yeah, your real estate agent could be pushing you to a lender because they're getting a kickback. Does that benefit you? No, it's the realtor's lender. That lender works for the realtor. Okay, that lender is giving perks to the realtor. You're just the collateral. That's it. So when you're thinking about buying a house, I would strongly suggest that you start off with the lender piece. Look for a lender that works for you, not a lender that is possessed by someone else. With the whole realtor's lender thing, like I did a video about this a while ago because I was really upset. And we had a buyer who was buying a house. It had black mold. And we're like, yeah, we're not going to close on this house until the black mold is remediated and there's an air sample test saying the air is clear. Well, my lender wouldn't require that. She had a Southern accent. And I was like, why not? My lender would get around it. Well, how the hell does that benefit the client? It doesn't benefit the client. It doesn't benefit you. No, it benefits the real estate agent getting their paycheck. It doesn't benefit you, right? And I'm like, well, that's great that your lender will do that, but we work for the client and we don't want them dying of black mold poisoning. So yes, we required the air test. And guess what? Yeah, it came back, they still had black mold. They had to do another remediation and the seller was paying for this. So another remediation, and they're like, okay, well, you better close now. I need another air test. And they're like, well, my lender, it was hysterical, guys. They tried to call branch managers at guaranteed rate. Like, I think if they had called our CEO, he would have laughed because he's like me. He's like, we work for you guys. We don't work for someone else's paycheck. We work for you. And, we required the air sample test. We'd already gotten one that said there was still black mold. Like, if it's you, don't you want to make sure it's not there? Of course. So we required it. That time it came back clear. Great, you can close on the house now. But the whole point of that was that this real estate agent had a lender that would basically skirt around what was in the actual client's best interest because this realtor wanted them to get their paycheck quicker. It's really disgusting. So look, a little bit of a rant, but a lot of times when I'm seeing these loan summaries and loan estimates where I'm like, wow, you are being taken for a ride, my friend. It's always, it's the realtor's lender, it's the builder's lender, it's some lender that doesn't work for you. So this is your calling. You need a lender that works for you, okay? If you want me to look at your loan estimate, I'm happy to. I'm happy to do loans everywhere except for Utah and Rhode Island. More than happy to be your lender. I work for you. I don't work for anyone else, and I can't be bought. So questions, comments, as always, feel free to reach out.